I'm going to be live drawing. I have been live drawing the DNC from my monitor, and I'm going to turn this camera around and let you watch me live draw the last half hour, which should include Bernie Sanders and Michelle Obama's talking. It's they're not letting us know when the speakers are up, so I'll just do the best I can, and you'll have to come along with me. Hello from New Orleans. Hi, it's Liza Donnelly. I'm live drawing the DNC, and I'll turn you around now. Oh, it's going to be upside down. Oops. Not what I wanted. Sorry.
When we talk about the economy, it's not just about the stock market. It's about whether you can find work that really means something instead of feeling like it's supposed to be great just to get a paycheck. It's about whether people who didn't inherit millions from their parents.
Right now, Representative Cedric Richmond is talking. Louisiana.
The richest country on earth, everyone, including women and people of color, feel included and empowered. Economists will also tell you that Joe Biden's plan to rebuild our economy will create millions of jobs. But Joe will tell you that his plan is not more than that. Because
when I do these, sometimes I put quotes in. Oops.
Not just to show resilience. That's why he looks at our economic challenges the same way.
A little trouble with my
And he'll solve them in a way that puts working
setup here.
Joe Biden respects America's work because he truly understands the dignity of work. You know, well, it was mostly small talk when we first met. I would collect this ticket, and time went on, I learned more and more about him as our friendship grew. I think he's most comfortable around everyday working class people. He just always makes you feel like you belong.
For more than 30 years, Joe Biden took the train to work. As a single dad, he promised to be home to kiss the boys every night, and then make them breakfast in the morning.
Well, you got on the train every time on TV, he had time for everybody.
Joe was a regular. He bought rounds of coffee for fellow passengers and crew. And he got to know the people.
So this is a representative from Louisiana. His name I've just forgotten. Cedric.
Became really good friends. He was very interested in my life, my children. As time went on, my grand.
So see, these are some of the other drawings I've done today. Or sorry, this evening. Amy Klobuchar, Senator Catherine Cortez Masto from. Oh gosh, where's she from? She's the first Latina member of the Senate, elected to the Senate. Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Governor Andrew Cuomo, Representative James Clyburn. This is the mother of Eric Garner, who spoke very briefly. George Floyd's brothers also spoke. Or this, I don't know if they're his brothers, but I think this is his brother, but I don't know who this man is. I just identified them as his family. It's Liza Donnelly. I'm live drawing the DNC. I was there 4 years ago live on location in Philadelphia, but this year obviously I can't be there. So I'm drawing from my home in New York City. This is Mayor Muriel Bowser, Mayor of Washington, D.C. She said she created Black Lives Matter to be a place where we can come together and say enough. It's Representative Gwen Moore. This is a young activist student who spoke. Oh, there's Bernie Sanders. I'm going to draw him.
Is now living in an unprecedented moment. We're facing the worst public health crisis in 100 years and the worst economic collapse since the Great Depression. We are confronting systemic racism and the enormous threat to our planet of climate change. And in the midst of all of this, we have a president who is not only incapable of addressing these crises, but is leading us down the path of authoritarianism. This election is the most important in the modern history of this country. In response to the unprecedented crises we face, we need an unprecedented response, a movement like never before of people who are...
Oh, the audio went off. Bernie Sanders is speaking. I don't know why my audio went off. Okay, this is Liza Donnelly. Live drawing the DNC from my monitor. I'm going to try to fix this in a second. I don't know why my audio is off. I want to fix it because I don't want to miss Michelle Obama, who's probably the last speaker. All right, let me figure out what's going on here. I think it's a Wi-Fi issue. I'm going to turn off my Wi-Fi here. This is certainly annoying. Anyway, you got me. You were able to see me draw Bernie. Oh, there we go.
Stand up and fight for democracy and decency and against greed, oligarchy, and bigotry. And we need Joe Biden as our next president. Let me take this opportunity to say a word to the millions of people who supported my campaign this year and in 2016. My friends, thank you for your trust, your support, and the love you showed Jane, me, and our family. Together, we have moved this country in a bold new direction, showing that all of us, black and white, Latino, Native American, Asian American, gay and straight, native-born and immigrant, yearn for a nation based on the principles of justice, love, and compassion. Our campaign ended several months ago, but our movement continues and is getting stronger every day. Many of the ideas we fought for that just a few years ago were considered radical are now mainstream. But let us be clear, if Donald Trump is reelected, all the progress we have made will be in jeopardy. And it's most basic. This election is about preserving our democracy.
So, Liza Donnelly here.
The unthinkable has become normal. He has tried to prevent people from voting, undermine the U.S. Postal Service, deploy the military and federal agents against peaceful protesters, threatened to delay the election, and suggested that he will not leave office if he loses. This is not normal, and we must never treat it like it is. Under this administration, authoritarianism has taken root.
Liza Donnelly here. I'm, hello Brett from LA. I'm live drawing, just drew Bernie Sanders. Live drawing the DNC. And I'm waiting for Michelle Obama to show up so I can draw her. Probably the last speaker. I spent the first hour drawing all these folks. And 4 years ago, I was at the DNC in Philadelphia.
This president is not just a threat to our democracy, but by rejecting science, he has put our lives
I could just do a little more drawing.
in jeopardy. Trump has
I always enjoyed drawing Bernie Sanders because he's very animated. When he was running for president, I would do gifts with him.
Gowns and gloves our healthcare workers desperately need. Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Trump goes. His actions fanned this pandemic, resulting in over 170,000 deaths and a nation still
very animated
to protect its people.
Speaker.
Furthermore, Trump's negligence has exacerbated the economic crisis we are now experiencing. Since this pandemic began, over 30 million people have lost their jobs.
I'm just drawing, waiting for Michelle to come on. This is a impromptu Bernie drawing. Because I drew him a lot during the primaries, during the debates. I draw him, I draw everybody else. Oops. The app I'm using is called 53. It's a great app.
But the truth is that even before Trump's negligent response to this pandemic, too many hard-working families have been caught on an economic treadmill with no hope of ever getting ahead. Together, we must build a nation that is more equitable, more compassionate, and more inclusive. I know that Joe Biden will begin that fight on day one. Let me offer you just a few examples of how Joe will move us forward. Joe supports raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. This will give 40 million workers a pay raise and push the wage scale up for everyone else. Joe will also make it easier for workers to join unions, create 12 weeks of paid family leave, fund universal pre-K for 3- and 4-year-olds, and make child care affordable for millions of families.
Bernie Sanders talking at the DNC. I'm live drawing him. Brett says Bernie is so animated that I can visualize what he's doing just hearing his voice. I know. It's true, isn't it? Bernie's always very... We know him so well.
As you know, we are the only industrialized nation not to guarantee health care for all people. While Joe and I disagree on the best path to get universal coverage, he has a plan that will greatly expand health care and cut the cost of prescription drugs.
Bernie Sanders is originally from Brooklyn.
The eligibility age of Medicare from 65
You can hear it in his voice.
down to 60.
Hear a little of his Brooklyn
To help reform our
accent.
criminal justice system, Joe will end private
For all those years in Vermont.
detention centers, cash bail, and the school-to-prison pipeline. And to heal the soul of our nation, Joe Biden will end the hate and division Trump has created. He will stop the demonization of immigrants, the coddling of white nationalists, the racist dog whistling, the religious
I think his jacket is blue, actually.
My friends, I say to you, to everyone who supported other candidates in the primary, and to those who may have voted for Donald Trump in the last election, the future of our democracy is at stake. The future of our economy is at stake. The future of our planet is at stake. We must come together to defeat Donald Trump and elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as our next president
My American dream is to have an America where we have people in affordable housing. But for every human being in this country.
Hi, Drew from LA. Hi, Brett. I saw Lucia. Hello. Do I draw trees? Yes, I do. So this is Bernie Sanders. And the next major person to come up is Michelle Obama. Oops.
Build America back better. He wants good things for all Americans, not just a
Oops, no, wait.
The voices we long to hear right now are the ones that speak with courage, strength and wisdom, love and compassion. They're unafraid.
And the voice you're hearing now is Eva Longoria.
They make us feel seen and inspire us to become the best versions of ourselves. Our next speaker is that for all of us. It is my honor and privilege to introduce the former First Lady, Michelle. Good evening, everyone. It's a hard time, and everyone's feeling it in different ways. And I know a lot of folks are reluctant to tune into a political convention right now, or to politics in general. Believe me, I get that. But I am here tonight because I love this country with all my heart. And it pains me to see so many people hurting. I've met so many of you. I've heard your stories.
Trying to get her face right.
I have seen this country's promise. And thanks to so many who came before me, thanks to their toil and sweat and blood, I've been able to live that promise myself. That's the story of America. All those folks who sacrificed and overcame so much in their own times because they wanted something more, something better for their kids. There's a lot of beauty in that story. There's a lot of pain in it too. A lot of struggle, justice, and work left to do. And who we choose as our president in this election will determine whether or not we honor that struggle and chip away at that injustice and keep alive the very possibility of finishing that work. I am one of a handful of people living today who have seen firsthand the immense weight and awesome power of presidency. And let me once again tell you this. The job is hard. It requires clear-headed judgment, a mastery of complex and competing issues, a devotion to facts and history, a moral compass, and an ability to listen.
Can't get her mouth.
And an abiding belief that each of the 330 million lives in this country has meaning and worth. The president's words have the power to move markets. They can start wars or broker peace. They can summon our better angels or awaken our worst instincts. You simply cannot fake your way through this job. As I've said before, being president doesn't change who you are. It reveals who you are. Well, a presidential election can reveal who we are too. And 4 years ago, too many people chose to believe that their votes didn't matter. Maybe they were fed up. Maybe they thought the outcome wouldn't be close. Maybe the barriers felt too steep, whatever the reason. In the end, those choices sent someone to the Oval Office who lost the national popular vote by nearly 3 million votes. In one of the states that determined the outcome, the winning margin averaged out to just 2 votes per precinct. 2 votes. And we've all been living with the consequences. When my husband left office with Joe Biden at his side, we had a record-breaking stretch of job creation. We secured the right to health care for 20 million people. We were respected around the world, rallying our allies to confront climate change. And our leaders had worked hand in hand with scientists to help prevent an Ebola outbreak from becoming a global pandemic. 4 years later, the state of this nation is very different. More than 150,000 people have died, and our economy is in shambles because of a virus that this president downplayed for too long. It has left millions of people jobless. Too many have lost their health care. Too many are struggling to take care of basic necessities like food and rent. Too many communities have been left in the lurch to grapple with whether and how to open our schools safely. Internationally, we've turned our back, not just on agreements forged by my husband, but on alliances championed by presidents like Reagan and Eisenhower. And here at home, as George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and a never-ending list of innocent people of color continue to be murdered, stating the simple fact that a Black Lives Matters is still met with derision from the nation's highest office. Because whenever we look to this White House for some leadership or consolation or any semblance of steadiness, what we get instead is chaos, division, and a total and utter lack of empathy. Empathy. That's something I've been thinking a lot about lately. The ability to walk in someone else's shoes. The recognition that someone else's experience has value too. Most of us practice this without a second thought. If we see someone suffering or struggling, we don't stand in judgment, we reach out. Because there, but for the grace of God, go I. It is not a hard concept to grasp. It's what we teach our children. Unlike so many of you, Barack and I have tried our best to instill in our girls a strong moral foundation to carry forward the values that our parents and grandparents poured into us. But right now, kids in this country are seeing what happens when we stop requiring empathy of one another. They're looking around wondering if we've been lying to them this whole time about who we are and what we truly value. They see people shouting in grocery stores, unwilling to wear a mask to keep us all safe. They see people calling the police on folks minding their own business just because of the color of their skin. They see an entitlement that says only certain people belong here. That greed is good and winning is everything, because as long as you come out on top, it doesn't matter what happens to everyone else. And they see what happens when that lack of empathy is ginned up into outright disdain. They see our leaders labeling fellow citizens enemies of the state while emboldening torch-bearing white supremacists. They watch in horror as children are torn from their families and thrown into cages, and pepper spray and rubber bullets are used on peaceful protesters for a photo op. Sadly, this is the America that is on display for the next generation. A nation that's underperforming not simply on matters of policy, but on matters of character.
No.
And that's not
But I do realize that.
It's downright infuriating.
Color of her.
Because I know the goodness and the grace that is out there in households and neighborhoods all across this nation. And I know that regardless of our race, age, religion, or politics, when we close out the noise and the fear and truly open our hearts, we know that what's going on in this country just not right. This is not who we want to be. So what do we do now? Strategy. Over the past 4 years, a lot of people have asked me, when others are going solo, does going high still really work? My answer, going high is the only thing that works. Because when we go low, when we use those same tactics of degrading and dehumanizing others, we just become part of the ugly noise that's drowning out everything else. We degrade ourselves. We degrade the very causes for which we fight. But let's be clear. Going high does not mean putting on a smile and saying nice things when confronted by viciousness and cruelty. Going high means taking the harder path. It means scraping and clawing our way to that mountaintop. Going high means standing fierce against hatred, while remembering that we are one nation under God. And if we want to survive, we've got to find a way to live together and work together across our differences. And going high means unlocking the shackles of lies and mistrust with the only thing that can truly set us free, the cold, hard truth. So let me be as honest and clear as I possibly can. Donald Trump is the wrong president for our country. He has had more than enough time to prove that he can do the job, but he is clearly in over his head. He cannot meet this moment. He simply cannot be who we need him to be for us. It is what it is. Now, I understand that my message won't be heard by some people. We live in a nation that is deeply divided, and I am a Black woman speaking at the Democratic Convention. But enough of you know me by now. You know that I tell you exactly what I'm feeling. You know I hate politics. But you also know that I care about this nation. You know how much I care about all of our children. So if you take one thing from my words tonight, it is this. If you think things cannot possibly get worse, trust me, they can and they will if we don't make a change in this election. If we have any hope of ending this chaos, we have got to vote for Joe Biden like our lives depend on it. I know Joe. He is a profoundly decent man guided by faith. He was a terrific vice president. He knows what it takes to rescue an economy, beat back a pandemic, and lead our country. And he listens. He will tell the truth and trust science. He will make smart plans and manage a good team. And he will govern as someone who's lived a life that the rest of us can recognize. When he was a kid, Joe's father lost his job. When he was a young senator, Joe lost his wife and his baby daughter. And when he was vice president, he lost his beloved son. So Joe knows the anguish of sitting at a table with an empty chair, which is why he gives his time so freely to grieving parents. Joe knows what it's like to struggle, which is why he gives his personal phone number to kids overcoming a stutter of their own. His life is a testament to getting back up. And he is going to channel that same grit and passion to pick us all up, to help us heal and guide us forward. Now, Joe is not perfect, and he'd be the first to tell you that. But there is no perfect candidate, no perfect president, and his ability to learn and grow, we find in that the kind of humility and maturity that so many of us yearn for right now. Because Joe Biden has served this nation his entire life without ever losing sight of who he is. But more than that, he has never lost sight of shot. He wants all our kids to grow up with leaders who won't just serve themselves and their wealthy peers, but will provide a safety net for people facing hard times. And if we want a chance to pursue any of these goals, any of these most basic requirements for a functioning society, we have to vote for Joe Biden in numbers that cannot be ignored. Because right now, folks who know they cannot win fair and square at the ballot box are doing everything they can to stop us from voting. They're closing down polling places in minority neighborhoods. They're purging voter rolls. They're sending people out to intimidate voters, and they're lying about the security of our ballots. These tactics are not new. But this is not the time to withhold our votes in protest or play games with candidates who have no chance of winning. We have got to vote like we did in 2008 and 2012. We've got to show up with the same level of passion and hope for Joe Biden. We've got to go early, in person if we can. We've got to request our mail-in ballots right now, tonight, and send them back immediately. And follow up to make sure they're received. And then make sure our friends and families do the same. We have got to grab our comfortable shoes, put on our masks, pack a brown bag dinner, and maybe breakfast too. Because we've got to be willing to stand in line all night if we have to. But we have already sacrificed so much this year. So many of you are already going that extra mile. Even when you're exhausted, you're mustering up unimaginable courage to put on those scrubs and give our loved ones a fighting chance. Even when you're anxious, you're delivering those packages, stocking those shelves, and doing all that essential work so that all of us can keep moving forward. Even when it all feels so overwhelming, working parents are somehow piecing it all together without child care. Teachers are getting creative so that our kids can still learn and grow. Our young people are desperately fighting to pursue their dreams. And when the horrors of systemic racism shook our country and our consciences, millions of Americans of every age, every background rose up to march for each other, crying out for justice and progress. This is who we still are. Compassionate, resilient, decent people whose fortunes are bound up with one another. And it is well past time for our leaders to once again reflect our truth. So, it is up to us to add our voices and our votes to the chorus of history, echoing heroes like John Lewis, who said, when you see something that is not right, you must say something. You must do something. That is the truest form of empathy. Not just feeling, but doing. Not just for ourselves, for our kids, but for everyone. For all our kids. And if we want to keep the possibility of progress alive in our time, if we want to be able to look our children in the eye after this election, we have got to reassert our place in American history. And we have got to do everything we can to elect my friend Joe Biden as the next president of the United States. Thank you all. God bless.
Truly extraordinary moment in American political history, the former First Lady of the United States delivering a powerful...
And there you have it. I'm going to mute it, and because we have Wolf Blitzer talking now. Let's flip you around. There we are. So, I hope that was interesting. It was interesting to listen to the speakers and know that you were listening with me. And I drew them, and I will put them on Twitter and Instagram tomorrow. So thank you for joining me. Just live drew. This is Liza Donnelly. I was just live drawing the DNC, and I will be back again tomorrow night to do the same thing for the rest of the week until it's over on Thursday. So take care, everybody, and